As a short definition, we can say that a Boolean data type defines only two possible values, true and false. The name comes from George Boole. He was a 19th century English mathematician and philosopher. Now, leaving history aside and returning to Python, you can think of these two values as being equivalent to 1 and 0. In Python, true is written with a capital T and false with a capital F, so keep that in mind. We have already seen true and false in some examples during the previous lecture, so they are not completely new to you at this point in the course. Basically, they are used to evaluate whether an expression is true or false, and can be further used in conditional or loop structures, as we will see later in the course. For now, let's evaluate some basic expressions and see how Python evaluates each of them. So let's start with 1 equals 1, which is true, 1 equals 2, which is false. Let's say the string Python equals Python, so we are comparing two strings, which is true. What if we compare Python with a capital P? This time we have two separate strings, so the result is false. 3 is less than or equal to 4, which is true, of course. Okay, so you get the idea. These were some pretty basic evaluations that we did. Now, there are three main Boolean operations, each of them having a specific operator. The first operator is AND, the second operator is OR, and the third operator is NOT. Let's analyze each of them and see how they work. AND means that both operands should be true in order to have the entire expression evaluated as true. So let's see this in practice. Let's do an AND operation between two true expressions. So let's say 1 equals 1 and 2 equals 2. By the way, you can skip the parentheses. I'm just using them for better readability, and I advise you to do the same when dealing with longer expressions. So both expressions being evaluated as true, the final result is of course true. Next, when performing an AND operation between two false expressions, the result will be false. So let's try this. Let's say we have 1 equals 2 and 3 equals 2 with the AND operator in between them, and the result is false. The third case is when one expression is evaluated as true and the other one is evaluated as false. This will also return false when using AND, so let's test this. Let's say that the first expression is a true expression and the second one is a false expression. So true and false will result in false. The conclusion here is that when using the AND operator, if both expressions are true, then the result will also be true. On the other hand, if at least one expression is evaluated as false, then the result will be false as well. Now let's study the OR operator. OR works like this. If at least one of the expressions is evaluated as true, then the final result is true. If they are both false, then the final result will be false as well. So when using OR, it is enough if only one expression is true in order to have true as the final result. Let's see this in practice. So 1 equals 1 or 2 equals 2. The final result is true because both expressions are true. Now what about 1 equals 1 or 2 equals 3? This expression is also evaluated as true because we have the OR operator in between a true expression and a false expression. Finally, let's make both expressions false. So 1 equals 2 or 2 equals 3, and that returns false. Finally, using the NOT operator means simply denying an expression. If that expression is true, then denying it will result in false, right? And vice versa, of course. Let's try this. So NOT 1 equals 1. This results in false because we are negating a true expression. Consequently, NOT 1 equals 2 will result in true because we are negating a false expression. Okay, one more thing to keep in mind here. Some Python values always evaluate to false. They are none, 0, 0.0, 0j, which means a complex number, the empty string, the empty list, the empty tuple, the empty dictionary, and so on. On the other hand, any values that are not equal to these values right here, so if we have, for example, 1 or 2.5 or a string, hello, they are evaluated as true. And let's test this, because Python provides the bool function to help us evaluate values and expressions as true or false. So let's use this function to check the always false values. Let's say bool of none is false, bool of 0, also bool of an empty string. Okay, and as I've said, all other values in Python are considered to be true. So let's say bool of 1, bool of 2.2, bool for an empty list, and we will talk more about lists very soon, returns false. However, bool for a list that is not empty, let's say with a single element, will return true. Booleans and logical operators are very useful in Python, especially when dealing with if-elif conditionals and while loops, but more on that later.